Alright, here we go with number 16 off of our homework on section 3.5. I'm going to use the graphing calculator to discuss this piece this time, but one thing I'm going to do also is I'm going to actually go ahead and leave my key history up so you can see where I go to kind of get to this information. The question basically says that these data represent the volume in cubic yards of the largest dams in the United States and South America. Construct a box plot of the data for each region and compare the distributions. So what I'm looking to do here is that I need to go back to my home screen. So I go second mode. That takes me back to my home screen. See, second mode. I'm going to enter my data into my list. So to enter my data into my list, I hit stat. Okay, so now there I am on the stat button. I'm going to go into number 1. So I'm going to choose number 1. That takes me into L1. To clear my list, I'm going to press the up arrow. That puts me on top of L1. Then I'll press clear. And then I'll press enter. So that allows me to clear out those lists. And if I have anything in list 1 or list 2, I need to clear both of those out because I'm going to put my information into L1 and L2. Now at this point, what I need to do is I need to start putting these numbers into my list. So 125, 628, enter. 92,000, enter. 78,008, enter. 77,700, enter. 66,500, entered. 62,850, enter. 52,435, enter. 50,000. Looks like I need one more zero. There we go. 50,000, enter. Alright, so now there's L1. I should have 8 items in there, so let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's correct. So I'm going to go over to L2 by pressing my over arrow. And then I'm going to go ahead, and if that list isn't clear, then of course I would go up on top of L1, or L2, excuse me. I'd press clear, and then I'd press enter to clear my list. Alright, so now that I can kind of follow along here and you can see my keystroke history again, let me press clear on my history and you can see where I go along. So I'm going to enter my numbers in. 300,000, 311,539. I couldn't get that one right. 274,026. Enter. 105,944. Enter. 102,014. Enter. 56,242. Enter. 46,563. Enter. So now all my data is entered into the graphing calculator. I'm going to clear this history again so you can see again where I go from here. At this point, you're welcome to go to page 166 to follow along, or you can watch my key press history. So we're going to go into our stat plot. Our stat plot is located above the y equals button at the top of the graphing calculator. You notice stat plot's in blue, so therefore we have to hit the second key and then y equals to get to our stat plot. Plot number 1 is already turned on. Let's go ahead and make sure it's set up correctly. So we go into plot number 1 by pressing enter or choosing 1. Once inside of plot number 1, we need to do a series of things. We need to make sure our screen is the same as the screen that I have here, meaning that I go down to make sure, use the down arrow to make sure that my plot is, oops, went too far. Make sure that my plot is turned on by pressing enter. I need to go down to the type of graph and arrow over and make sure that I'm on the 5th graph, which you see flashing right here, and press enter. And then I need to make sure that my X list is on L1. Once I have my L1 up and ready to go, then I'm ready to go on to my L2 and to put in my plot number 2. To get there, there's a couple of different ways, but I'm going to show you the basic way so we go the same way every time. I'm going to go to second, y equals, because that takes me into the stat plot screen. Now I need to go in and set up plot number 2. So I'm going to press number 2 to go into plot number 2. Once into plot number 2, I need to turn it on by pressing enter. Now you'll notice that I'm on. I need to arrow down so that I can choose the type of graph. I'm going to arrow my way over to the right until I get to the 5th plot. And then I'm going to press enter to choose that 5th plot. Now I need to go down to my X list because this time my X list is not coming from L1, it's coming from L2 because L2 is where I put my information for South America. So I need to change that from L1 to L2. L2 can be found down here at the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and press the 2 key. Oops, it didn't give me L2 though. So let me go ahead and press second, and notice L2 is in blue. So now I press L2. Oops, but see, I made a mistake. So let me just arrow over on top of that Z and press delete. And there we go. So now I have that set as L2. Once you have that all set up, you can press enter, or you can go right to your zoom key. So I'm going to clear my screen again. And now I need to go to my zoom key. So I press zoom, and we're going down to number 9. And the reason I go down to number 9 is because remember it says zoom stat. So I'm actually going to arrow down to number 9. You could also press the number 9, but I want you to see that number 9 says zoom stat. Okay, and then it plots both of my graphs at the same time. Now, what we have to take into consideration is you've watched 2 recordings up to this point. This is your 3rd recording. The first recording we just made, we did a 5-number summary from these graphs, these box plots. The second recording, we looked at a box plot and we discussed about the percentages. What percentage information is found? Why are certain areas or certain percentages smaller in area than other percentages? And that had to do with the spread of the data. So now what we're looking at here is we have a scenario where we have 2 different sets of graphs where we have mean, median, and modes for each one of these. I'm going to put my key press history away for a second, and I'm going to pull over my graphs onto my screen. Okay, so there's those graphs. I'm going to put that away right there. I'm going to go ahead and pull my key history back out, and I'm going to remind you how you pull up your data values to be able to see your 5-number summaries. So I'm going to press second. Oh, my bad. I'm not going to press second trace. Silly boy. Just press trace. Let's go back to our graph and just press trace. When I press trace, then at that point, you notice I'm on L1. So I can go left or right, and at the bottom it's showing me my quartiles and so forth. My median, my quartile 3, my maximum. If I press my down arrow, I can go down to the next graph, and I can look at the max, quartile 3, median, quartile 1, and minimum. So I'm going to go ahead and put that key history away for a minute. I'm going to write some data values down. Alright, so in blue, we're going to do, I'll write down information for graph number 2, or for South America. Okay, so this bottom one is South America. The top one is United States of America. Oops. And I want that to be a different color. So let's see. So this one is going to be South America, and the one on top is United States of America. Okay, so in that case there, let's go back and get our blue. Our minimum value for South America was 46,563. Our median value, I'm sorry, our quartile 1 is 56,242, and that's Q1, and that's our minimum. Our median value for South America is 103,979. Our quartile 3, and then our max. Our quartile 3 is 274,026, and then our max, of course, is 311,539. Okay, let's do USA. So remember, to go back to USA, I press the up arrow. That takes me back to USA. I arrow over to the left to get my min. My min for the USA is 50,000. My quartile 1 for the USA is 57,642.5. Our median for USA is 72,100. Then we have our quartile 3, and we have our max. Our quartile 3 is 85,004, and of course our maximum for the United States is just the largest number in the list, which is 125,628. So, a couple things we can say. Couple things that we can say about this graph when we're just comparing the distributions. We have all these fancy numbers now, but one thing that we can say is that the largest lake in the United States, the largest dam in the United States is approximately the same as the median dam in Mexico. Or we can say statements like 50% of the dams, so 50% of the dams in Mexico are greater than the largest dam in the United States. We can make statements like, let's see, 75% of the United States dams are less than 50% of the Mexico dams. So we have this kind of just random statements that we can make regarding this distribution. Because what we see is that when we look at the data now, we can see how compressed the United States water, dams and so forth are. And so we can start to see, how close things are together, how spread out they are. And, in the Mexico's data display clearly shows us that, their smaller dams are very close together. But then they have this wide range. Their upper half of their dams, the spread is very large. So not very many numbers in the data collection, but just something you can compare two graphs and make different statements about. And your main things are statements like about the spread, about the position. If you want to say, like, the key thing is the position, and that's what's going to be on the quiz, is that, like 50% of the Mexico dam, or I'm sorry, South America dams are greater than the largest dam in the United States. So, just things like that. All right. Good luck on that. That's the last video.